Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane's studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and we've got a ton to react to over those 2 hours. We'll have Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, and Locked On Saints coming up in 10 minutes. Saints are off the schneid. They get a victory over the Giants yesterday, so we'll talk to Ross about that before he meets with Kellen Moore. I've got my thoughts on that game as well. Talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham at the end of the hour about some sports medicine issues. LSU issued a pretty lengthy injury update today at Brian Kelly's press conference. We'll get into that at the end of the hour. My SEC picks against the spread from last Thursday. I picked the opposite of everything I thought would happen. We'll see how that worked out. We've got some Pro Football Focus grades for LSU season long in terms of how the Tigers have been in coverage. And Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime at 2:30. Got a lot of things to talk to Denton about because it was a wild weekend in college football over the weekend. No LSU football, but a lot to react to over the course of this 2 hours. So let's start things the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
We actually start today away from football. I think most of you are aware that on Friday, a video was released by Kyren Lacy's attorney, Michael Ory. It's about 45 minutes long and detailed his findings from the investigation performed by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney in regards to the incident that resulted in a fatal car accident that Kyren Lacy was charged in relation to. And so I thought it was worth talking about here on this Monday. I am not here to issue some sort of legal decision. I'm not here to tell you, the listener, how to feel about the legal proceedings in this case. You are very, very free to go watch the video and draw any conclusion that you may have from that. Again, that's not why I'm here. I'm not going to go through everything that Michael Ory went through. I think he did a very good job of revealing information and did it in a mild manner, and I thought fairly straightforward way that shed new light on this incident. I, like most of you, found out about this incident online, and you read the charges and you see the mugshot and the bail, and everyone gets their day in court. But when things like that happen, it's very easy for the general public to jump into one camp. Michael Ory shows video of the collision. I don't think it's graphic in any way. If you're inclined to stay away from things like that on the internet, you certainly see the cars collide, but it is more informative to me than graphic. And you see Kyren's vehicle, and then he went through a lot of information from the black box in these vehicles that show speed, that show distance, that show angle of turns. There's factual data in terms of the seconds involved and when this happened and when that happened, the sequence of events that led to the incident and the collision. And I'm not going to go through all of that because it's a 44-minute video and I've got 8 minutes to get through this. Essentially, what I took, and this is my personal opinion, I am not dealing in complete fact here when I start to give the opinion that I have after watching the video. So you're, again, free to do what you will with the information that Michael Ory provided. But my opinion is that Michael Ory shows out that Kyren Lacy passed 4 vehicles in a no-pass zone. That is a traffic infraction for sure. The Lafourche police officers that showed up, the Louisiana State Police, determined that that reckless act triggered a sequence of events that ultimately led to the collision. Michael Ory suggests that, yes, while Kyren did pass 4 vehicles in a no-passing zone, he returned to his lane within the parameters of the law for a pass, and that the sequence of events that led to the collision were actually in the northbound lane of traffic as opposed to Kyren's in the southbound lane, and that the Louisiana State Police officer coerced one of the vehicles involved to release a statement that that person did not sign for that suggested that one of the vehicles involved emergency braked because of Kyren's actions. Now, my opinion on this is that Kyren broke the law by passing those vehicles. My opinion, I cannot be more clear about this. My opinion is that the actual fatal collision was likely more so caused by the vehicle that was heading northbound that ultimately ran into the car that the deceased victim was driving. That's my opinion based on what is laid out. Now, I am fully going to suggest that I don't have every bit of information here. And I understand that this is a district attorney investigation, and I am listening to Michael Ory's version of what he gleaned from the information, and he represented Kyren Lacy. I understand all of that. My opinion is that the information would point to the fact that while Kyren did something wrong and reckless previous to the collision, that it is unlikely, in my estimation, that is what caused the fatal crash. Now, that is the car collision aspect of this. There is more to this that I want to get into, that I feel passionate about. This is a tragedy twofold. It's a tragedy because the collision resulted in the death. That's a tragedy. And then furthermore, the loss of Kyren is tragic as well. And I never met Kyren, but I do know that Kyren wasn't alone. I know that Kyren had a family around him. He was with his younger brother the day he died. His father has been very outspoken on social media in support of him. I listened to his girlfriend of many years stand in my kitchen and tell me about how excited she was for the next chapter of their life just a couple of months before Kyren died. And I know that those people surrounded him. I know that there's a football program here that he was a part of for 3 years. And for the sequence of events to happen from the collision to the arrest to his death by self-inflicted gunshot wound, it's so tragic for me to sit back and think about, because it's impossible for me to put myself in his shoes. He became a public figure in college, which so few of us have happened. I can't put myself in that position. But because of that position that he was put in, you start to think about how amazing the next chapter of your life could be, both in terms of your professional career, what goes into being a player in the National Football League. I mean, the guy shared a huddle with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Jaden Daniels and guys who have grown to astronomical fame and have become multimillionaires. I mean, that's an exciting thing to think about at 21, 22, 23 years old. And so few of us have the opportunity to think that way. Like, when you feel like all that's being taken away, that's I can't put myself in those shoes. That's really, really hard. But I feel like, and this is the thing that I'm going to leave this with, and this is ultimately not the most important thing, but it's something that I drew from this and I want to talk about. We live in a society that is so toxic on the internet. And based on Kyren's attorney's firsthand account of this, with his firsthand encounters with Kyren, what Kyren dealt with on the internet after this happened, is just awful. And we live in a world where people get really confident in themselves on the internet, and it's not real life. People are different when they're typing anonymously on a keyboard as opposed to when they speak to people in person. And that's the worst part of social media. I wish Kyren had thought more about the people that loved him. I wish he had thought more about the fact that his attorney felt he had a great case here, should that day be heard. And before it could ever be heard, Kyren took his own life. And I wish he would have thought about those things. And this is my opinion again, but it's based in what we heard from Kyren's attorney, that he was dealing with so much in that fake world that can become all too real to some people that he couldn't take it. And if there's anyone listening that has a tendency to maybe get into that world and think that way when someone drops a pass or strikes out, or in this case, there's a legal proceeding where that day in court has not been had, and you feel the need to get there and type something out on the internet, think about the people that are involved. It breaks my heart. It really does. And there are a lot of things that led up to this, and there are a lot of layers to this story. But to me, one of the things that struck the chord is thinking about the fact that social media is not going anywhere. And it's a part of young people's lives. And young people aren't necessarily as mature as they will be. And that's a really difficult thing to deal with. So the next time you want to go to a keyboard and type something out and feel like you're in the right because you want to make someone feel bad, you have hate in your heart, you're being mean, think twice about that. Real people affected. There's so many layers to this, and I don't mean to label this as a social media event. There are two people that have lost their lives. But it struck a chord to me, and I wanted to bring that forward here in our lead today. So there's no real easy way to move on from that. But I wanted to talk about it first today. We're going to talk about sports the rest of the way. If you want to watch that video, it's very accessible online. We've got some stories on louisianasports.net about it as well. There have been multiple statements made in the last 72 hours, and all that is worth reading, in my opinion. But the last part there is something that it rubs me the wrong way. And I live a lot of my life on social media and see a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's something that I wanted to talk about today. So we'll move forward. We'll talk to Ross Jackson about the Saints when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit louisianapropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Winless no more. New Orleans Saints get a victory over the New York Giants, 26-14. The final in the Dome yesterday. Saints force 5 turnovers from Jackson Dart, Cam Scatteraboo, and the Giants, and moved to 1-4 on the season. Ross Jackson covers the Who Dats, Locked On Saints, of course, LouisianaSports.net as well. Give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. Ross, how are you?
Hey, man, doing great. Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure. What was your biggest takeaway? I'll get big picture to start. Biggest takeaway from Sunday in the Dome?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway were the takeaways. 5 consecutive takeaways for that New Orleans Saints defense. It's the first time the Saints have done something like that since 1991. Remember, that was a vaunted defense at that time, and they actually did it twice in that season. But to me, that was the big thing. I think you saw good things on the offensive side here and there, a little bit maybe more sporadic. But the way that New Orleans Saints defense responded after surrendering 2 back-to-back touchdowns on Giants opening possessions and then shutting out that team the rest of the way through, including those 5 takeaways, and all of those, or a lot of those plays, having some contribution from the young defensive pieces, I think that was kind of my biggest thing that I walked away with from this game.
Let's talk about a couple of those. Jonas Sanker, tackle for loss, 7 stops on the day, and of course was involved in takeaway. What can you tell us about what he has been for the last month for the Saints team?
He's just such an impactful player, and like, this is the guy that the Saints were super excited was still on the board when they selected him in this year's draft. They were really excited to get him involved in the defense as well once the opportunity opened up there. Obviously, it happened in a less than advantageous way with having lost Julian Blackmon in the process, but the way that he has just stepped in now, contributing to 2 takeaways in 2 games at this point, or in the last 2 games at this point. He's just been somebody that always finds his way around the ball, communicates incredibly well, which is absolutely necessary in this Brandon Staley defense. You can see how, the safety rotations and the way that these young rookies, move and fill the areas where each other vacate and all those things. Like, it is just a really, really impressive thing to watch how quickly he's caught on to this defense and this scheme as a rookie.
Kool-Aid McKinstry gets a couple of picks, his first 2 as a pro. Was also victimized on the second touchdown the Giants scored. And at that point, you're kind of thinking, this is what we've seen for a few weeks. What kind of improvements did you see as the game went on from him, and how big a day was Sunday for Kool-Aid?
Yeah, he didn't have the strongest day to start, but I mean, I had spoken to some people earlier on in the week that were really impressed with sort of his week of preparation. And being able to get out there and kind of show that as the game went on, I thought really stood out. He had the 2 interceptions, but then he also had the pass breakup against Theo Johnson in the end zone on the left sideline when they tried to run that fade route with the big body tight end there toward the end of the game. He also had a lead block or really a block that kept Darius Slayton at bay as Jordan Howden was returning that that fumble recovery for a touchdown. He just had a really, really strong game. And if you're the New Orleans Saints, what you're hoping is that this is kind of the opening of the floodgates, if you will. I remember years ago watching a young Derek Stingley Jr. with LSU, and it had gotten into maybe 4 or 5 games of the season. I think that they were going up against Vanderbilt. He got his first interception, if I remember correctly. And then after that, the floodgates just kind of opened for him. And then he had this incredible season after that. Saints are certainly hoping to see a similar situation happen with another player here in the state of Louisiana.
Let's move to the offensive side. Finally, the big play shows up for New Orleans, and it was at a great time for Spencer Rattler and Rashid Shaheed. What kind of development was that, and is it something that they maybe can build on?
Yeah, it's big. I think the thing that you saw after that play was how the Giants had to respond, knowing that that play was in their, in the Saints' coffers at that point. That they had to be honest around the deep ball, and it caused 2 pass interference penalties later on that they got of 19 and 16 yards on back-to-back plays. That's the reason why you want these big explosive plays. It's not just because, it'll get you into the end zone every now and then. And certainly we know that explosive plays lead to points. You go back to 2020 through 2023, 51% of drives that had an explosive play ended in a score. 2 explosive plays was over 80%, and it takes you from 2.3% to 28% when it comes to scoring a touchdown. I mean, having explosive plays in your offense certainly helps you out. And so I think that, those are some of the ripple effects that come from that. It was the only pass that the Saints threw that ended up, counting as an offensive play that went for over 20 yards in terms of air yards there. So the Saints still being maybe a little bit too selective about when they take their shots. They could still stand to get a little bit more aggressive there. But I think getting that first one in the book certainly helps to kind of settle everybody in and build some confidence around the deep ball. And maybe we'll see more of that as the season rolls along.
What did you see from the Saints offense in the red zone?
Not a lot. That's a big place where they've got to find a way to continue to, finite or really kind of, figure out the sort of finite details of how and what they want to do as an identity in the red zone. 0-3 in this game when it came to touchdowns in the red zone. And when you've got a kicker that's missing short field goals and things like that, that's not an ideal situation to put yourself in, because you really run the risk of not only walking away without a touchdown in the red zone, you have to be honest about the risk of walking away without a score in the red zone when you're in striking distance at this point. And so the Saints really need to get their kind of red zone identity figured out. As Taysom Hill gets more and more embedded in this Saints offense and in Kellen Moore's offense, I imagine he'll get back to being a big part of what the Saints love to do in the red zone. He was a 10% differential on the field versus off the field for New Orleans last year in the red zone. And so I think that'll be an opportunity for them as they get him a little bit more comfortable in the system.
You mentioned the field goals. What do we make of Blake Grupe through the 5 games?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's concerning, right? I mean, he's one of the guys that's got, I think it's one of the lowest field goal percentages so far this season. And I think if you go back over the last few years, it's one of the lowest field goal percentages cumulative over the time that he's been in the NFL. And so, you're in the Sean Payton days, that wouldn't have gotten you anywhere here in New Orleans for very long. He was quick to move on from kickers, as we saw. But, the Saints are going to continue to be patient here with him. But they have a young guy that could be really interesting in Charlie Smith as they start to figure out exactly where they want to go with him and what it is that he's going to be able to do. And so we'll see. The Saints have been doing a good job getting a look at a lot of young players. You start to wonder whether or not they'll eventually start to get a look at a different field goal kicker here, or if Blake Grupe just simply gets to a point where he hits that rhythm that he had in training camp, because he was outstanding in training camp. But for whatever reason, that hasn't translated here to the regular season.
Last one, Ross. I know you got to get to a press conference here. You're with this team just about every day. What does a win do for that locker room, for Kellen Moore, for Spencer Rattler, and just for morale moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's just a lot of positivity around this team, win or loss. I think that's just kind of what Kellen Moore brings. But you can certainly feel the weight off the shoulder, the levity that comes with getting that first win of the season, and it coming against an opponent that they should have beat. I mean, if we're being honest, like, they were the better team on the football field on paper. And so being able to go out there and have a confident stand, knowing that you should go in and win that game and getting that done, I think that just kind of boosts the confidence. The big thing for them now is to see if they can turn it into a streak, see if they can get a second in a row. This still isn't a playoff team or a Super Bowl team or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. But what you're looking for from this team is continued progress. And I think the Saints are really feeling that. And you can certainly feel the kind of joy associated with that when you're in the locker room about it.
Locked On Saints every day, LouisianaSports.net every day. Looking for your black and gold coverage. Ross Jackson has got you covered. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, bud. You take care. Stay safe. Appreciate you having me on.
Sure will. That is Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints and LouisianaSports.net. He was in the Dome yesterday. Looked like a festive environment there in the Dome, and that's a good thing. As Ross just mentioned at the end there, doesn't mean that the Saints are knocking on the playoffs doors, but it just is nice to get one in the win column against a team that came in not very good. Now, they had a nice win last week, but they're not a very good football team. Now 1-4 and have not won away from their home football stadium. The Saints finally get on the board with a victory. They are now 1-4. 1-2 at home. I got my thoughts on this game between the Saints and the Giants, so we'll get to some of those when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. And every single Genesis comes with America's best warranty. We're talking industry-leading stuff from a warranty perspective. Their powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. Their new vehicle warranty, bumper to bumper, 5 years, 60,000 miles. Enhanced roadside assistance, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 5 years, no matter how many miles you put on that vehicle. 5 years of the peace of mind of knowing that you're covered wherever you are on the road. Genesis has you covered. And then you've got your complimentary scheduled maintenance that is valet for 3 years and 36,000 miles. That just makes life so much easier when you know you don't have to be responsible for handling that oil change. You don't have to be responsible for that air filter, that wiper fluid, the wiper blades. They got you covered over at Genesis. They'll come to you, pick your car up, get it serviced, bring it back, and all the while you've got a loaner while your car is away. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're on airline at PQ, and of course you can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hope that work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hour 2, lots and lots to do. Got my SEC picks against the spread. Just some takes from the SEC. I'll just be honest because we're 30 minutes from that, and some of you will have left your vehicles by the time we get to that. I'm a little uncomfortable with the way things are shaking out in the SEC currently. Just a little uncomfortable with it. Got Bama playing really well. I got A&M with just a cakewalk. I got LSU with some real question marks. I'm not super pumped about what's going on in the SEC, but I'll talk about that at the top of the second hour. I am pumped about LSU's coverage grades by Pro Football Focus. Get into some of that in the second hour. Denton Day is going to be with us as well. So a lot of college football in hour number 2. Let's stick with the NFL and stick with the New Orleans Saints, who, as we mentioned in the last segment, got that 26-14 win. Beyond everything else, because there are like 5 different things I want to get into in this game. Beyond everything else, great job getting a win. Very, very good for Kellen Moore to get his first win. Very, very good for Spencer Rattler to get his first win. Those two guys are kind of carrying that on their back, not having won. And that's tough. And you want to be rewarded from a lot of hard work. And this is a game that you absolutely, positively could win. And the Saints went out and won it. It was a game where they outplayed New York in every phase of the game, really, except for maybe starting things out. You got down early in the game. Giants went right down the field for a couple touchdowns early. But beyond that, I thought they were much the better. You shut out New York in the second half and really seized control of the game and got those 5 straight turnovers and stops. So I'm going to mention some things I did not like in this game, but I'm going to do that at the end. The most important thing is you got that win, and that's a big, big deal. Easier to get up and come in for treatment and film on Monday, easier to lace them up and ready to get after it for practice on Wednesday. Just you needed this win. I did not want to see this mushroom to 0-5, 0-6, 0-8, 0-11. Like you don't want that. When you're trying to implement a culture, you're trying to turn an organization around and rebuild things, the vibes of things going way south way early are no good. And this doesn't mean that the Saints aren't going to have a really lopsided record this year, but it's just good to get one, and the Saints got one. Why did they get one? Well, it starts with the 5 turnovers. And while I would suggest that fumbles are a little bit fluky, I did think that the Saints made some good plays. Brzee, DeMario, getting your hand in there and getting the ball free. Thought they did a good job of being Johnny on the spot and getting on them, but it's just an active defense that made things difficult on the Giants much of the day. You didn't see a lot of long runs. The long run for Scadaboo was 9 yards. You were talking about Jackson Dart. He threw for 202 yards and only completed 26 of his 40 throws. 2 of those were picked off by Kool-Aid McKinstry. Like anywhere you look at the Giants offense, it was not very effective beyond their first 2 drives. Yep, they went right down the field a couple times. You saw Kool-Aid get victimized a couple times early in the game, one on the second touchdown that the Giants scored. Like, it was a bad start. It was a great finish from New Orleans. It was awesome to see Jonas Sanker get involved in a couple of big plays. That feels like, to me, the first guy that you can speak confidently about in this draft class that you really hit on. I feel great about Kelvin Banks, but Sanker's really making some plays and making an impact, and you didn't really know if he was going to get on the field this year. And then Kyren hangs it up, and you've got, unfortunately, an injury at safety. And so you're two safeties down, and boom, you get Sanker in the game to play, and he's really making the most of it. He's been in game-changing plays, turnover-worthy plays 2 games in a row now. And I really like the way that he's playing in the secondary. Kool-Aid gets his hands on a couple of balls. We talked to Ross about that in the first segment here that we did on the Saints, and that's a guy that has been picked on a lot in the first month of the season, no question. Been picked on a lot, and he gives up that first touchdown, that seam route, and you're like, geez, this guy can't make a play. They're just going right at him, and so for him to make a couple plays is great. I thought the second interception was a great play to read that on that in-breaking route, to jump it and make the catch with his hands. That's a really athletic play. The first interception, if we're being quite honest, he shouldn't have caught it. You're talking about losing 30 yards of field position on a 4th down play to catch that ball and run out of bounds at the 5-yard line. But we're taking baby steps here. If this is a playoff game, I really need you to make the decision to not catch that. In a situation where you're 0-4, you've never had an interception, and we got a 2-score lead, I'm going to live with it for sure. But it was good to see those two guys go out there and make some plays. That was great. The defense as a whole played awesome. Jackson Dart wasn't great in the win 2 weeks ago. The Giants picked Herbert off a couple times, and that's why they won that game up in New York. But the Saints were the ones that capitalized on those turnovers, and I thought that was great. And so by the flip side of that, there were 2 things that I loved about Spencer Rattler's day on Sunday. The first one, obviously, is the big play touchdown. You've got, statistically, the second best big play wide receiver in the National Football League over the last 5 years. It's Tyreek Hill, number 1. It's Rashid Shaheed, number 2. Rashid Shaheed on that play went 23 miles per hour, which was the fastest clocked time anyone in the NFL has run this year. So you've got a guy that is a difference maker. And to sit here and dink and dunk for 4 quarters every Sunday is a waste of his talent. And so finally, Rattler makes a big-time throw on a great route by Shaheed. They got a matchup they liked. He dropped it right in the bucket and allowed Shaheed to run. Rattler, to me, his biggest problem has not necessarily been decision-making this year. His biggest problem has been accuracy. He's been inaccurate on some throws. And to get a big catch and run, you've got to be accurate on that throw to hit the guy in stride and let him turn it up the field. And that ball was thrown right on the money to Rashid Shaheed, who turned it up the field and turned it into a big play touchdown that the Saints absolutely positively had to have. So I loved that. That's the first thing I loved from Spencer Rattler in this game on Sunday. The second was no turnovers. No turnovers. And you've got a Giants team that's turning the ball over every possession, and Rattler goes out there and doesn't turn it over.
There was another interception called back for a flag.
There was, but I'm looking at the final stat sheet.
I know.
And we like no turnovers. So it's you've got 2 young quarterbacks that are playing out there, and one of them is turning the ball over, and the other one is not. And that, to me, was the key to this game. The Saints weren't great on offense. It was what they didn't do that helped them the most. And that brings me to a couple of negatives in this game, because there was a lot of positive and they won the game, and I want to get to that first, but I can't just leave out the other stuff. Red zone offense stunk. Red zone offense was bad. 3 times in the red zone, no touchdowns. If you're going to tell me that you're not going to be explosive down the field, which the Saints have not been, and you're going to spend a lot of your time throwing the ball near the line of scrimmage, then let's go ahead and be efficient when it's a tight area to throw the ball when we get there. If that's what we're going to be good at, let's be good at that. And the Saints just didn't produce in the red zone. They couldn't run the ball very well. Kendre Miller averaged 4 yards a carry, had 41 yards. Kamara had 1 11-yard run. Beyond that, he had 7 carries for 16 yards. They couldn't get Taysom Hill going on the ground. He had a long of 2 on the 6 carries that he took. They did some things with him in the backfield, some direct snaps, as you would expect, and he actually threw a pass that worked out on a short yardage play. They'll get him more integrated into what they're trying to do at this point. Keep in mind, you were dealing with the Saints offensive staff for a while that had had a lot of Taysom Hill experience, and then you used him a little bit last year before he got hurt, and now you got a whole new staff for the second year in a row offensively. They're probably trying to learn what they can and can't do with Taysom. That wasn't really effective, but you got to be much better in the red zone. And that brings me to the most concerning thing, to me, by a long shot from Sunday. Blake Grupe is missing every single weekend. Every single weekend. And you just cannot have that. I realize that a lot of these misses are coming from 50-plus. NFL kickers have to make 50-plus yard field goals, period. And you got to situate, like, that position is one where you can have a guy for 10 years and not blink. Like, that happens a little bit in the NFL. You get a kicker that gets in there and he's a stalwart for a long time. That doesn't happen as much at a lot of the different positions because you age out of your prime very quickly. So Grupe, theoretically, is one of the guys on this team that could stick around for a long time. But if he kicks like this, he needs to stick around for no more time. Because these are not season-defining kicks. But by the time you get to be a good team, all these kicks define seasons. How many games in the NFL come down to 3 points, 2 points, 1 point? A kick with 8 seconds to go, a kick in overtime. These are wins and losses on the foot of these kickers. And Grupe is missing every single week. Sean Payton would have cut him already. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. I just know it would have happened. And as I tweeted out yesterday, like, NFL kickers miss like 1 or 2 a month if they're like not that good. The great ones don't miss for a month. Grupe misses every Sunday. Misses a 52-yarder, misses inside a 50-yard. Like, he's missing every day. And all we heard about during training camp, and I'm confident these were not lies, is that Grupe was making everything. And that they like Charlie Smith, and he's a big talent, huge leg, but he's not going to make the team because Grupe's been great. Well, guess what? Grupe is not great. Grupe is probably, at this point, the worst kicker in the NFL. At least if you're going to go by the statistics. Guys don't stick around on teams when you miss 5 kicks in a month. And Grupe's still with the Saints. So either that needs to change now, or the Saints need to look at Charlie Smith. The beauty of what you've got right now in New Orleans, and it's a silver lining to a dark cloud, is that you have the ability to make some mistakes that aren't going to cost you the playoffs, that aren't going to set you back as an organization. And kicker is one of them. Sit Grupe for a week. Bring Charlie Smith up to the active roster. Like, see what he's got. I don't have a lot of patience for kickers missing. I've got patience for a young quarterback figuring some things out. I got patience for a young guy on an island at cornerback figuring some things out. I've got patience for a rookie left tackle trying to deal with that defensive front from the Giants. I'll come up with some patience for Kendre Miller with his injury history. But a kicker needs to kick it through the uprights. And Blake Grupe missing every single week is simply unacceptable. So that's something the Saints have got to consider moving forward. But ultimately, very good win for New Orleans, 26-14. You force the 5 turnovers. You don't turn it over. Hit the big play finally. Blocked. I thought the offensive line did a nice job against a very talented New York defensive front. You did not have Rattler sacked in the game, which is great. It wasn't perfect, and I don't think much the Saints do this year is going to be perfect. But ultimately, you need to get that win. Got it done. I feel great for Kellen Moore. I feel great for Spencer Rattler. And I also feel great for those that were in the Dome yesterday because I don't feel like you're going to get a lot of wins this year from those season tickets or from that ticket that you pick up on that Sunday morning. But they got one back on Sunday afternoon, and that's a good thing for New Orleans. 26-14 the final. 1-4 the Saints are. They will move forward to play all of a sudden a hot Patriots team. Can we say that? Hot Patriots team coming up Sunday in the Dome. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxford. Talk some injury stuff next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is that website. It is on Segan at Perkins. Rained pretty hard yesterday into last night. Might not be a great time to go out and try to hit some balls on the driving range or play golf because the ground could be super soaked. Not at Swing Easy Golf Club because it's indoors. And you go inside one of those air-conditioned bays, you can work on your game. You can hit the driving range mode on their simulators. You can get your carry distance, watch the ball travel, whether you cut it, slice it, hook it, draw it, hit those high shots, hit those low penetrating shots. You can see what your carry distance is. You can see your ball speed. You can also see something that I find very, very helpful. It's a slow-mo of your club face at impact. I've noticed I hook the ball when I hit a terrible shot more often than not. And I noticed on that, when I was there a couple weeks ago, that you catch that ball right there on the heel of the club. That's what's generally causing that hard hook. If I stand a little bit further away from the ball, might stay away from that. It's things like that you can pick up from working your game at Swing Easy that you can't just necessarily find at your local driving range. Plus, it's climate control. Go see them. They're on Seagan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can find them online at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here, this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Lots to do. Wrapping up hour number 1, hour 2 to follow. Lots to do in hour number 2. We'll talk a lot of college football, SEC scores from over the weekend, some LSU grades from Pro Football Focus, as well as Denton Day from College Football Overtime. But right now, time for Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Bring on Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Ochsner. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Certainly want to talk about some throwing as well as some torso injuries, abdominal issues, and that, of course, is what's on everybody's mind here in South Louisiana. That's the Cubs' ace, Cade Horton. I think that's what everybody thought I was going to be talking about here. I believe my ace, come playoff time, broke a rib coughing. Is that possible? And can he come back and pitch soon?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, it is possible. Look, anybody that's had a rib injury can tell you it's a very painful thing. It sounds like in this case it happened just from repetitive stress over and over, and it may have been a combination of being sick and coughing for a period of time and also throwing. I think he threw like 98 that night.
Yep.
And so if you think about the torque that's going through the torso at that time period, if you've already got a bone that's a little bit weak, it's not unimaginable that could do the rest of the damage. Recovery time, it's variable. This is probably not going to be an issue where it's necessarily going to make that rib fracture worse. But if he's compensating for that rib fracture, then you're starting to think about shoulder and elbow and other things that are downstream from there that could be affected as well, which is why he'll probably give it some time to rest and recover.
That is quite a bummer for my Chicago Cubs. We'll see how that plays out as they play Game 2 in Milwaukee coming up tonight at 8:08. I want to talk to you about more of a high-profile national injury. Tyreek Hill last week was gruesome. I think a lot of people saw it, whether they were watching live or on Twitter. One of those where he gets tackled and you look down and things are pointing the wrong direction. What did you make of that injury to one of the best players in the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's tough to watch. Everybody, I think we all probably saw that on TV at the same time. And, whether you're medical or not, you could watch that injury and know that something pretty serious happened. When a lot of people have isolated ACL tears, they have a little bit different injury mechanism than what we saw with him. When we see the type of injury that we saw in that play, really we're worried about more than just the ACL. And certainly it turned out that he did tear multiple ligaments in that knee. We don't know specifically which ligaments. They've mentioned publicly that the ACL was involved as well as other ligaments. But a lot of times with that mechanism, you're involved in the lateral collateral ligament, sometimes the posterior cruciate ligament. And so all of those injuries have to be addressed as well. The good thing, I think, is that I read that the artery and the nerve were not involved. Oftentimes those are. And those really can then be like a life or limb-threatening type situation as opposed to just a knee injury. But regardless, it's a serious injury. We're talking about a long time out from sports where you average see 9 to maybe 16 months on this, even up to 2 years. ACL injuries, 80-90% of people get back and play sports at the same level again. With multi-leg knee injuries where multiple ligaments are involved, that number's a lot lower. Usually 20 to 30% when we're talking about elite athletes. And so it's a completely different animal as compared to just an isolated ACL.
Wow, that's tough to hear from one of the most athletic guys in the National Football League for sure. How's football season been for y'all over at Ochsner and Elite?
Hey, it's going great. We've really seen a lot of the teams that we're working with have a lot of success. Of course, the weather is getting a little bit cooler now, which is always better for our heat illness concerns. And so I think we're entering that time of the year that maybe it's a little bit safer to play. We're doing a lot of recovery on the weekends. A lot of our teams are coming in and the elite complex here and doing some recovery and just getting ready for the following week.
Dr. Burnham, we certainly appreciate your time on this Monday. We'll talk in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, son. Have a great one.
That is Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner at Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. We know that sports injuries can be unpredictable. One situation you can protect yourself from is safely returning to play after an injury. It's important to seek care by sports medicine specialists who are experts in rehab. Their care plan can include building back flexibility, balance, endurance, plus psychological support. Get athletes back in the game. So to learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/BRortho. That was pretty disappointing to hear about Tyreek Hill when you think about like his game and how he's just a speed player. And you're talking about a multi-ligament knee injury that, that's like, if he's talking about 2 years with his age, like, have we kind of seen the last of maybe the most explosive receiver in the NFL?
Yeah, you would think so. It's 2 years is a long time, and then you never know how guys recover from these types of injuries. Sometimes they come back and they're fine, and sometimes they, you can't really tell a difference, but sometimes you can tell when guys have those types of injuries, and they just lost a step. So especially at his age, you wonder if this is going to be even harder to
What's
come
he,
back
like,
from.
5'11"? You talk about a 5'11" wide receiver that doesn't have the best speed in the NFL. Like, that all of a sudden becomes a pretty pedestrian player at that point. I mean, Terrell Owens wants to run around after losing a step. It's 6'3" and 225 pounds. Like, that works a little bit
actually,
better.
So
5'10", that's a tough
and
scene.
31 right now.
You have any confidence Cade Horton's going to be pitching anytime soon based on that conversation?
Thanks to the World Series, maybe.
He broke a rib coughing.
That's the Cubs for you.
I don't approve of that. I need him to pitch.
Yeah, we do.
Instead, I've got Matthew Boyd on short rest, literally giving up more runs and hits in the first 2 innings than any pitchers in the history of baseball. You heard this on the telecast on Saturday?
I didn't hear it. What happened?
They've been playing playoff baseball for like 150 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
The Brewers on Saturday were the first team in the history of the baseball playoffs to score 9 runs on 10 hits in the first 2 innings of a playoff game. And the leadoff hitter, who we may not see for a couple games or the rest of the series potentially, for the Brewers, Jackson Churio, was the first hitter in Major League playoff history to have 3 hits in the first 2 innings. So that's exciting.
Can't get any worse, hon, I don't think.
Technically, it could get worse. I don't want it to get worse.
I would
like
will.
the Cubs to play a little bit better in the game. That's the first playoff game I've ever watched on Saturday where I just never even broke a sweat. Like, there was just no interest ever. Hour 2, next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. I was able to chat with Jonathan Carbo back on Friday. The Highland Insurance Group, just great people, and they're experts in the field of insurance. I think a lot of people, when they decide to buy their insurance, just go for whatever's the cheapest, give me that. And if that's the way you approach insurance, I'm not going to tell you how to handle your business, but the Howard Insurance Group doesn't approach it like that, so things might line up. If you're worried about making sure that for your premium dollars, your business is taken care of, your business is secure, your business is protected, that's what the Howard Insurance Group prioritizes. They've got dozens of markets. They're an independent broker, and they can make sure you're placed at the proper premium. But what they make sure of first is that your business is protected for those premium dollars you're invested. If you'd like a free audit, go to HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group right here in Baton Rouge. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport.
That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Bankin. It's another day of postseason baseball action with the National League taking center stage. First up, Game 2 between the Phillies and Dodgers from Philadelphia, with L.A. looking to take a 2-0 lead. Phillies outfielder Harrison Bader is not in the lineup for today's game. He suffered a groin injury in Game 1. You can hear the game on ESPN Radio with our coverage getting underway at 5:30 Eastern. The second game of the night on ESPN Radio will be the Brewers and Cubs from Milwaukee. The Brewers will look for a 2-0 series lead after blowing out the Cubs in Game 1. The American League Division Series will resume tomorrow. Toronto has a 2-0 lead on New York. And ESPN Radio's Clinton Yates said the Blue Jays have made a statement.
I mean, the Blue Jays are a team that people should be paying attention to. Some guy called in last week wondering why nobody was talking about them. I said, they're not playing baseball. Oh, guess who's playing baseball now, Jack? Just ask the Yanks.
Tigers and Mariners will also play tomorrow, tied at a game apiece. Monday Night Football tonight, Chiefs and Jaguars on ABC and ESPN. Colts kicker Spencer Schrader is out for the season. He suffered a torn ACL and MCL in yesterday's win over the Raiders. Hockey, Connor McDavid is staying in Edmonton. He has signed a 2-year extension worth $12.5 million a year.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Kennedy. Coming up Tuesday, my former head coach, Super Bowl winner Tom Coughlin, joins us in studio at 9 a.m. Eastern to go around the league. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Denton Day will be along in 30 minutes. We'll talk all things college football with Denton. Penn State with one of the most inexplicable losses I have ever seen in my life on Saturday. We'll get Denton's thoughts on that. Also, how good's Miami? Curious what Denton has to say about that as well. I want to say something before I get into my SEC picks against the spread, and we'll talk some SEC football. This is going to sound whiny. I am aware. I don't want to do that. This would have no place on a Friday show. It really wouldn't even have a place on a Monday show if LSU had played over the weekend. But I'll be frank. I'm watching some college football on Saturday. I was cranky because the Cubs got beat. And I am very uncomfortable with the direction of the Southeastern Conference right now. I've got an Alabama team that goes to Athens and wins. They kind of toys with Vanderbilt in the second half. They look pretty good. They look like a threat. Ty Simpson looks good. I've got Texas A&M playing dominant football in the second half. They're undefeated. They got a lot of confidence. They feel good about themselves. There aren't a lot of people that feel great about what LSU's doing offensively. Ole Miss feels like they're a threat to make the playoff for sure. This is a nightmare. This is a terrible situation. I don't like the way this is trending at all.
Not good.
Let's just talk about, my picks against the spread. I, on Thursday, gave you my picks, and I gave you my analysis, gave you a pick, and then took the opposite because I've been so atrocious all year. And what actually happened was I had a winning week doing that. Now, it was only 3-2.
But here's the deal, Hunt. You should have been 5-0 because Kentucky lost by half a point.
Yes, I had the Wildcats who should have fired their coach, and they didn't.
Yes, and Vanderbilt were going to cover until Alabama decided they need to score another touchdown with 17 seconds left just to make the game look a little bit more prettier for them.
Yeah.
And prove a point.
Yes.
So you really should have been 5-0.
I was not 5-0.
You should have been.
I did get a cover by the Kent State Golden Flashes.
You did.
Plus 45.5. The worst team in the FBS.
Rocking chair.
Covered. Amazing. And then the Aggies won by 14.5. And let's talk about that. Pull up their schedule, Beck. I challenge you, and you will fail. You will fail this challenge. I challenge you to keep them out of the playoff. You can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
so
know.
We all believe if they go 10-2, they're in the playoff, right? Does anybody think that's not going to happen? So
I think they will.
Try to find me the 3 losses. I'm not saying there aren't 3 possible losses, but to get to the 3, you would have to lose like all 3 of the possibles. What do we have next?
They have Florida at home next.
Do you think they're going to lose that game?
I don't think so.
Florida played better against Texas. We think Texas stinks out loud. We'll get to that in a second. But it's in Kyle Field.
That's correct.
They're probably not going to lose that game.
Then they go play Arkansas on the road.
Arkansas is atrocious.
There won't be anybody in the seats because the deer season starts soon.
Loss.
They go on the road to Baton Rouge. Play the Tigers.
Maybe they lose that game. Maybe they don't.
Yep. Then they go on the road to Columbia to play Missouri.
Okay. Maybe they lose that game. Maybe they don't.
Then they play South Carolina at home.
They're going to beat South Carolina. South Carolina looks terrible.
They play Samford at home.
They're going to win that game, obviously.
And then they play Texas at the end of the season in Austin, who's not good.
Texas is terrible. They got punked by Florida. Punked.
By Florida?
By Florida. So, sure, if you want to stand on the balcony and scream out that Texas A&M, well, they got to go to Baton Rouge. They could lose that. And they got to go to Austin. They could lose that. And look, they might not beat South Carolina. Like, they have to lose all those games. And Missouri, that's the one we got to hang our hat on. Like, I know they're Texas A&M. I know they go 8-4 every year. I get all that stuff. They looked ridiculous in those stupid uniforms on Saturday. I get all that. The stadium looked stupid. The team looked like the Miami Sharks from Any Given Sunday. It was an embarrassment what they did out there from a fashion perspective. But they ran for 300 yards and put Mississippi State in a locker. And the teams that were supposed to be really good on their schedule, namely the 2 trips to Baton Rouge and to Austin, all of a sudden don't look so hot. Because LSU can't run the ball and can't score, and Texas is a disaster. So this is a bad spot for your boy, because I think A&M is a shoo-in to make the playoffs at this point, and that is gross. And if I'm wrong, I'll be thrilled about it, but I feel pretty grounded in that statement. Now, let's talk about Texas, because they stink. And they cannot block on the offensive line. It shouldn't be stunning that they lose 4 offensive line starters from last year, including Kelvin Banks, and they don't block very well, so they're not running the ball that well. And then Arch just kind of looks lost. He's under pressure a lot, but he kind of looks lost. And oh, by the way, this Texas defense that was supposed to be awesome, like Florida doesn't score on anybody. You saw Florida come in here and throw 3 interceptions and get shut out in the second half. Did that look like a competent, functional offense? It did not. And you saw Florida the week before that go out there and just get manhandled by South Florida in a game they scored 16 points in, including a safety by their defense. It's 2 touchdowns in that game.
Then they had 140 yards against Miami.
Yeah, they scored 12 points.
7 against Miami. I mean, they scored 7 points against Miami.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7 against Miami.
Yeah.
About the Miami game I was talking about was South Florida.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, just we're completely dysfunctional. And all of a sudden they come out there and just roll out of bed and roll up 29 points.
457 yards.
I mean, that's supposed to be Texas' good side of the ball. This is not like we lost our focus. Like, they hadn't played an important game in a month. They hadn't played an important game since the Ohio State game. So it's like time to ramp it all up and go play. The Swamp was lively, and they just were awful in the game on Saturday. Vandy Bama. Vanderbilt threw some early punches. Drove down the field, ran it pretty well. I loved the shovel pass play call to get that touchdown on the board. They go to halftime extremely competitive in that game. But I think, to me, what continues to stand out, and on the stat sheet, Jam Miller's day running the ball was the most effective for Alabama. But just watching the game, once again, Ty Simpson just looks the part. He's poised. He's got a strong arm. He makes impressive throws that look NFL level, and he threw for 340 yards against Vanderbilt. And I think that his basically the trio of wide receivers, I think, is fair to say. It's Ryan Williams, obviously, then Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton. Like those dudes combined for 15 catches, 2 touchdowns. Cuevas is a good tight end. He had 35 yards, but they've got talent, as you would expect, on the outside, and Simpson looks really good. And, I mean, they owned the second half against Vanderbilt. Now, Vandy did get into the red zone and screw up and turn the ball over. I get that. But that's part of Alabama creating that havoc. And I don't feel like a 30-14 win over Vanderbilt in Bryant-Denny validates Alabama. I do feel like when you add that to the win at Athens and you add that to the win against Wisconsin, and you put it all together and you give it the eye test and the win-loss test, like that looks like a team that's really good to me. I don't have another way to slice that.
Yeah, and for Vanderbilt, they turned the ball over twice and inside the 20.
Yes, red zone turnovers bad.
You cannot do that against a team like Alabama that is just far more talented than you. The first time they did it, they were up 7-0 there, and then Pavia fumbles it at the 15, and then Alabama gets the ball back and scores a touchdown. Then you get a chance to go up 14-0. Then you switch that over and you're tied 7-7, and then the interception in the fourth quarter, you're down 6 points there, and that was just a good play by Keon Saab there for Alabama, but you're at the 17 there. You have a chance to get another touchdown and go take the lead.
The thing about Pavia is when he plays, it never looks like Simpson.
Yeah.
It never looks like the really good quarterbacks in the SEC. When he makes plays, he runs a read option for 13 yards, or he runs around and flips one out for a first down on 3rd and 12 that's just a busted play. Like, it doesn't feel as sustainable as some of the other great quarterbacks in the SEC. And you look up, and he's 21 out of 35 for 198 yards, a touchdown and a pick in the game. It's good for Vanderbilt. And, like, they're going to be fine. They're going to win some more games. But that risk is run to do things like that because it just rarely looks traditional when Vanderbilt does it. We'll talk about that next week. By the way, LSU and Vanderbilt, no kickoff time set. It'll be either 11 or 11:45 for LSU and Vanderbilt. They'll make that determination on Sunday evening, but it'll be in a morning kickoff from Nashville. We'll talk a lot about Vanderbilt next week, but they're entering their bye week this week. But it was an underwhelming offensive effort statistically. They tried to kind of do their ball control thing, and they did that, and they went on drives, and they got to where they had to make a play down in the red zone, and Bama ended up making those plays. So I thought a decent day of football in the SEC, certainly one shocking result in Gainesville. I'm not going to talk about Kent State and Oklahoma, but yeah, I had a winning week in gambling.
Kentucky, man, they
Mark Stoops still employed, and again, They really had a chance there to cover. They just that half point really got you. Yet again, the half point. How do they keep doing that?
I don't know.
I've lost by a half like 5 times in the last 4 weeks.
You have. Not easy to do.
It's really not. But that's why the people tune into me to win.
That's why.
Win their money, win gamblings. It's got to be really difficult to fade me when I do the Costanza.
When you do this,
because then like what do you?
Yeah, then what do you?
What are you fading? Are you fading what I think, or are you fading what I pick?
Yeah, but then we talked about it. I was texting you on Saturday, and you showed me your other picks you had.
Yeah.
And you went like 5-1.
I do those on Tuesday when those lines come out, and then I don't look at them again until the game day. And then I do a new set on Saturday. And the ones I do on Friday, I actually do research for. Like if you look, here's when the pick segment, I've got all these stats, all these reasons. The ones I do on Tuesday, I just look at the number and just start clicking.
So maybe that's what you need to do, Hunt.
I was 9-1.
And I think
9-1.
The combination there of you had some Costanza picks, which was a pick that you would not have really made sense to do.
The only one I missed was an ACC game.
Yeah.
I missed the Louisville-Virginia game or whatever that was, and I can't name one player for either of those teams. I don't believe that Tiki Barber and Lamar Jackson are still chucking it around.
No, they're not.
Running around. So, no, don't have much information on that game. But that's a look at the Southeastern Conference. We'll talk more about it with Denton Day in 15 minutes. When we come back, on Sundays, I always look at the Pro Football Focus grades for LSU and do the top 5 bottom 5 grades. There obviously wasn't a game to do that on. So instead, I just started looking through Pro Football Focus yesterday for LSU, and the coverage grades really stood out to me. I want to talk a little bit about LSU's defensive back play when we come back. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website, and every car that is on the lot is online there at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. I've always driven SUVs. I love an SUV now. I've got 2 kids, so an SUV is imperative that I have it. The GV80 is such an amazing vehicle over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you're in the market for an SUV, whether that's this month, next year, just think about Genesis and put it on your list. Say, I remember Hunt said that. Get on by and see them. You'll be so impressed with the staff and the facility, but that line of vehicles is amazing too. Every single vehicle on that line is an IHA top safety pick. All of them. So you know if you get behind the wheel of that GV80 or whatever model that you get into from Genesis, you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. Get on by and see them. Airline at PQ. That website is very, very user-friendly, very easy to use. It is GenesisofBatonRouge.com. That's GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
LSU and South Carolina from Tiger Stadium on Saturday night, 6:55, the official kickoff time. Television time set for 6:45 on Saturday. Brian Kelly updated some injuries for LSU today. Garrett Nussmeier, good to go. Caden Durham, good to go. Weston Davis is good to go. The one question or probable name that he gave on the injury report today, which is generally a pretty good sign this early in the week, is Aaron Anderson. Paul Mabenga was questionable, and that's a high ankle sprain. You got to feel like there's a real question whether or not he's going to play. Cohen Eccles available there. DJ Chester's available there. Even you could see a situation where Carius Curran could play some left guard as well. But seems like Weston Davis from his concussion and broken nose, good. Caden Durham on his ankle sprain, good. Garrett Nussmeier, patella tendonitis / ab strain, good to go. Aaron Anderson, probable with all the maladies that Brian Kelly mentioned on Wednesday of last week that he was dealing with that caused him to miss the second half of the Ole Miss game. And then we'll see what Paul Mabenga can do. That report's up at LouisianaSports.net right now, as is a statistical breakdown of the South Carolina Gamecocks that I'll kind of get into later this week and how they've played up to this point. So a lot to do to get ready for that game, and I feel like most of what we did last week was kind of criticize the LSU offense, and it was the biggest story. Look, you lost your first game. The offense shared blame with the defense into why you lost that game, but had a significant negative contribution, especially in the running game, and so that was a lot of the discussion. I wanted to find something a little bit more positive for Sunday at LouisianaSports.net and for this segment on the show today. And what I stumbled upon in the Pro Football Focus grades was how LSU is covering. And it's very, very encouraging. You look at the primary coverage players for LSU, and you're seeing some very, very high grades. And again, I'm not here to tell you that Pro Football Focus is the end-all, be-all, but I do think that there's some quality information that you can draw from it and stuff that I don't necessarily gather from watching the game. But grades in the 80s and especially the upper 80s are very, very, very rare. That's elite stuff. I almost never see grades in the 90s. Like Deshaun Spears played 9 snaps in the Florida game and had 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. He graded in the 90s for that. But you just rarely see grades in the 90s. Mid-80s, high 80s is very, very, very good. Mansour Delane's season-long defensive grade is 88.5. His coverage grade is 87.7. These are astronomical numbers from the LSU corner, who is ticketed, if he keeps this up, for All-American type numbers. He's been targeted 20 times this year and only allowed 6 completions for 77 yards. That's 6 out of 20 is incredible stuff. And something that I really took note of was in watching the LSU Ole Miss game last weekend, the broadcast team who talks to the coaching staff during the week mentioned that Ole Miss's coaching staff had told them, yeah, we think Delane's one of the best corner guys in the country. We're going to go elsewhere. And you saw them go at P.J. Woodland, who had an interception. You saw them go at D.J. Pickett. You saw them go at West Weeks. You saw them go at Tamarcus Cooley. They stayed away from Mansour Delane, and for good reason. He has been sensational in terms of his grades. A.J. Halsey is an 82.5 for his defense on the season, but that coverage grade, 83.4 for A.J. Halsey. Now, he's given up some catches, 12 of them in 16 attempts, but only for 109 yards. So that tells me under 10 yards a catch for a safety who's not going to be in press coverage very much. That's a lot of catch and tackles, right? A lot of 6, 7, 8 yard tackles. And that's kind of what you're looking for from a safety. Yeah, I'd like him to break it up, but be there, be in position, make a play on the ball, and get the guy on the ground. If he does catch it, Halsey has certainly done that. Now, P.J. Woodland and D.J. Pickett are going to be very busy guys if other coaching staffs think like Ole Miss's did and stay away from Mansour Delane. And P.J. Woodland's been game. He's got a 75.9, so almost a 76 in coverage. In overall, that's very good. His coverage, 75.1. That's solid work, especially from a number 2 corner. He's given up 8 completions and 17 targets. That's good work by P.J. Woodland, who's getting better and better. He's still not the biggest guy, still not the most physical guy, but he's not afraid. He does not back down. He will make a play on the ball, and he had a great interception in the game against Ole Miss. So good to see P.J. Woodland. And then D.J. Pickett's grade is lower, but he is a freshman, and he's going to see a lot of action. And I feel like when you take that skill set, that length, that range, that size, that mindset, you mold that with more reps and tutelage from Corey Raymond, I think the DJ Pickett you get in November is going to be much better than the DJ Pickett that you saw in September. And the DJ Pickett you saw in September, 10 targets, 5 completions. Now, he did have a pass interference penalty at Ole Miss, and that'll ding you, but his overall grade on defense, 66.2, his coverage grade, 62.9. But here's something that I drew from the Pro Football Focus target grades. We just told you about Mansour Delane, your number 1 corner, PJ Woodland, your number 2 corner, DJ Pickett, your number 3 corner, and AJ Halsey, your safety. And those 4 guys have seen significant targets. Let's do the math. That is 53 targets. 53 targets between them. No touchdowns. 0. None. You had a couple on DeMarcus Cooley, but none on Delane, Halsey, Woodland, or Pickett. That's great stuff. Now, you have not seen the best quarterbacks on your schedule yet. Klubnik's been a mess. Lagway's been a mess. Chambliss, we'll see. I think it's pretty damn good. But you still got to see Marcel Reed. You got to see Sellers. You got to see Taylor Green. You've got to see can't come up with Oklahoma's quarterback. Mateer. Just takes a second. Live radio is a hell of a thing. But I do know that those 4 guys, Mateer, Taylor Green, Marcel Reed, and Pavia, top 4 in the SEC in terms of total offense. So the best is yet to come, and that doesn't include Lenora Sellers, who missed a game basically because of that concussion. So you're going to see some guys that can make some plays. But as I look at this, and I look at the coverage grades, I look at the production, I look at what I see with my eyes, all of that suggests that LSU is really, really, really doing a nice job in the coverage portion of the game. I trust LSU's front 7 to stop the run, to slow the run. You're facing the worst rushing offense in the SEC. Yes, worse than LSU's in South Carolina this weekend. If you can cover Nick Harbor and that crew on the outside, like you've got a really good chance to put South Carolina's offense behind the chains and in a blender, basically, because they have not been good at all. South Carolina's been bad on offense. There's a statistically speaking piece. God, that's a tongue twister. Statistically speaking piece at LouisianaSports.net. Highly suggest you go check it out to look at South Carolina's offense. It's just raw numbers, not my opinion. Raw numbers. They have been brutal on the offensive side of the ball through a month of action. This is a defense that's got a good chance to go out there and shut them down in front of the home crowd on Saturday night in Death Valley. So, again, that piece on the coverage unit was published yesterday in LouisianaSports.net. You can go check that out for free. We'll have a lot more coverage for LSU in South Carolina as we move forward in the week. Certainly will on this show as well. If you're looking for LSU content, check it out. Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts, or on YouTube. Hunt on Saints, where you can find your Saints content as well. YouTube and all your podcast links. All right, let's come back with Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. Let's talk some national college football headlines next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Let's talk some national college football storylines. Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime with us every single Monday. Denton, how we doing?
Hunt, what's up, man? It was a drama-filled weekend of college football. I was happy about it.
I can't go any further without talking about Penn State. Rick Neuheisel's kid went to the podium and said basically that he didn't even know how to work the headset, and they still beat Penn State. I don't know how that happened. What does it mean?
It's the worst loss in college football this year, and there will not be a one that is worse than that. I mean, that team lost to New Mexico by 4 scores, and they beat Penn State. Like, I don't understand how that is happening. You know, when I was watching it, and UCLA got ahead of them with like a surprise onside kick, and then like it was 17-7 or whatever it was. I was like, all right, this is like a fun story, and then Penn State's just going to kick it into gear, and they're going to come back and they're going to win this thing. And then it was the third quarter. And then it was the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh, my God, they're really going to lose this game. A week after losing to Oregon in overtime, where James Franklin kind of admitted to, I stink in big games, he's going to turn around and lose to UCLA. And, like, I don't understand how you can go back to a locker room and move forward with that, especially knowing that you have Ohio State on your schedule in Indiana. They're not going to make the college football playoff. This might be the last year of James Franklin, because his whole thing was, you can't win big games, but in a 12-team playoff, you're going to get us there and you're going to make us money. It's going to justify it. Well, if you're missing the college football playoff, I don't know how you justify keeping him around.
I guess the justification would be we could get a lot worse. I mean, they're good just about every year. It is very much the Mark Richt thing, and sometimes you hire Kirby Smart, and sometimes you fire Phil Fulmer because he's not that good, and you end up hiring Derek Dooley and Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt. Like it's tough. What do you think they should do?
I still do believe that they're going to keep him, and I would keep him for that very reason. Nebraska's a little bit more close to home for them in particular. Yeah. And I mean, they got the benefit of Michigan being bad for a really, really long time and being up on the Wolverines for a while. So that's another close to home example for them. So I do think they're going to keep James Franklin, but I think they need to adjust the way that football team is run and maybe take a little bit more off of his plate. I don't know if Kotelnicki is the guy for the future at the offensive coordinator spot. He was good at times last year. I think now he's just a little bit more average, but maybe that's because James Franklin is doing a little bit too much and holding Kotelnicki's hands behind his back. So I think if they keep Franklin, they need to adjust a little bit of the way they do things over there.
Yeah, let's just stay with the heartbreak of the weekend. Texas just got smoked in Gainesville. What'd you make of that one?
I made a lot of money off of that one. I can tell you that. I saw that one coming from a mile away. Arch isn't very good. They're not a top 25 team if this is what Arch is going to be. I don't think you or I were ever in the camp that Arch is going to be the savior and he's the next great college football quarterback of all time. I thought he'd be better than what he is right now, though. You get one or two good plays from him in a game where you need a lot more than that, especially as the talent increases. You can kind of get away with that against like your UTEPs and your Sam Houston States, but as bad as Florida is bad relative to the SEC. They're not bad in terms of just college football in general, and Arch was struggling against teams that in college football in general are bad. He's not going to do well against SEC teams. They need to go back to the drawing board with him. If this is what he's going to be this year, they're going to be like a 7 or 8 win team and not a 10, 11, 12 win team.
We've talked about Miami. They go to Tallahassee. They were up 28-3 entering the fourth quarter, 28-22 the final. But, what was the storyline from this one?
I think it was how good Miami was, despite the fact that Mario Cristobal it was like foreshadowing. He was teasing you. He's like, I still can make mistakes in the fourth quarter in terms of the way that we approach, play calling, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it here. I think he needs to be better in those scenarios. I thought by now they would have hired someone to help him with those scenarios. He just wasn't very aggressive, I didn't think. And he needed to be aggressive, he wasn't. When he probably shouldn't have been aggressive, it felt like they were being too aggressive. Just run the football, man, in the fourth quarter. I don't think it's very difficult. I know they weren't having great success with it, but it's a lot better if you're running the football and making Miami burn time or Florida State burn timeouts than having Carson Beck drop back and throw. And then you're just stopping the clock on a whim like that. So I think Mario Cristobal still has some issues in the game plan situation that I think is going to rear its head again at some point this year. But Carson Beck looks good, man. I didn't think we'd be sitting here in October with him being the Heisman favorite, but I think to this point he's earned it.
Let's talk Big 12. Texas Tech smacks Houston 35-11, and Cincinnati wins a big home win over Iowa State, and them their first loss. Cincinnati 2-0 in Big 12 play. They win 38-30. So how do you kind of handicap the Big 12 at the top right now?
It's definitely Texas Tech at the top, and then honestly throw a dart at a dartboard, and whichever team lands closest to the dart is probably the next best team. It really is any given Sunday. Like if Iowa State plays Cincinnati 9 more times, they probably win 7 of those 9. So you're looking at 8 out of 10, but it just happened to be one of the 2 games where Cincinnati got the better of them. I thought the refs weren't the best in that game in particular, and it kind of felt like helped Iowa State get back in it. But I think that's just it's an inch deep, a mile wide, right? That entire conference. I still think Texas Tech is the best team. I think Baylor is the team that everyone's afraid of because if they figure out what they're doing on offense, they're really, really good. And if they can start stopping people, they're going to be unstoppable, but they're a little too late, it feels like, for that. I think it's Texas Tech's conference right now, and then everybody else will kind of fall in line after that.
Where does Texas Tech stand in the national landscape then? If you feel like they're the best team in the Big 12, that would earn them a playoff spot if they could win the league.
It would definitely earn them a playoff spot. I think that there are a lot of teams that would not want to deal with the headache of preparing for them because I do think Baron Morton at times can be pretty good, and we know the talent that they have on that roster. So they paid a lot of money for that talent. They got some dudes. I don't know that many teams want to see them in the playoff, but I also don't know that Texas Tech would beat many teams in the playoff. It would just be like this team's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with for us to still end up winning by like 10 or 14.
Denton Day is our guest, Sirius XM's college football, overtime every Friday and Saturday. Texas A&M 31-9 over Mississippi State. They ran for 300 yards in this game. They're 5-0. They're ranked in the top 5 in the country. How good are they?
I think they're overrated. I mean, you have to put somebody in that position where they're ranked. Teams are eventually just going to load the box, and they're going to force Marcel Reed to beat you with his arm. And if he can do that once or twice, more power to him. Congratulations. But you know as well as I know, Hunt, the SEC is not a once or twice league. Even if your schedule doesn't look like Florida, your schedule's still really tough. And eventually someone's going to be able to crack that code. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when teams start to load the box on Marcel Reed, but then they also have good enough offenses to where they're going to put up points with relative ease. Or not relative ease, but with relative comfort against a Texas A&M defense. I think the A&M defense is pretty good, but I definitely think there are some teams in the conference that will be able to take advantage of them. So I think they're a good team. I think they deserve to be in the top 10. I would not have them top 5.
The deal with Reed, he may not be awesome. He was 13 for 23 in this game against Mississippi State, but Craver and Concepcion, the two wide receivers they brought in the transfer portal, are making a lot of guys miss, a lot of acrobatic catches.
Yeah.
They make his life easier, and they haven't allowed Mississippi State or Auburn to score much when they're on defense, and so his job hasn't been to do too much other than get the ball to those guys and hand it to Reuben Owens.
Yeah, and they can run the ball. I think if you're a dominant running team, I do feel like that transfers from game to game a lot easier sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see when they do start to play teams that load the box, if they've used Reed's legs significantly more, what kind of creativity they have in the run game, some sleight of hand stuff, disguising things at the line of scrimmage, causing confusion on the second level of the defense. I'd be curious to see what they kind of do once they start needing to, because it has felt like they understand that in the first leg of their schedule, first half of their schedule, that isn't as necessary because they can just, hey, we're going to line up our guys, you're going to line up yours, and we're going to run right through you.
Big weekend in the Big Ten coming up this weekend. Ohio State's headed to Champaign. Of course, Illinois in their first big test just got annihilated. Do you think they get annihilated again with Ohio State coming in?
Yeah, I do, especially because Julian Sands kind of figuring it out a little bit. And look, man, if you couldn't stop the wide receivers that Indiana had, and Indiana's a good team, but those Ohio State wide receivers are a lot better than anyone on Indiana.
Yeah.
Carnell Tate is fantastic. Jeremiah Smith is right now third in Heisman odds at some sports books across the country. He's fantastic. I just don't know how you stop them. And I don't know that Illinois is going to be able to run a track meet against Ohio State. So I don't know that it's going to be 63 again, but I do think it's going to be north of 35.
Can Indiana mess around up there in Eugene and stay close?
I think they can. Fernando Mendoza is a really good quarterback. I wouldn't have Indiana winning this football game because I really like Oregon. I think Dante Moore has been really fantastic in the small sample size that we have seen from him. But I do think Indiana is good enough to at least stick with Oregon and keep it close because the quarterback is as good as they are. This is a really great example of having one good year like Indiana had in 2024 and then taking that momentum and utilizing it properly to now look like you're kind of building a sustained program. I didn't think that would ever be said again about Indiana, but that's kind of where we're at here with Kurt Cignetti.
Tight point spread. Missouri will host Alabama coming up in Columbia. 2.5 is the number Alabama favored in that one. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think Bama's going to go in there. When I get the short point spread, just because of the nature of where Bama is in the schedule right now, but I think Ty Simpson's looked really, really good. I don't know that they're going to be in a position where they're constantly blowing teams out of the water the way that maybe we've seen Alabama do in the past, like specifically with that Mac Jones year where you just could not stop them offensively. That's not what they are now, but I do think Ty Simpson looks really poised, and he's much more comfortable as the season has progressed. He looks really, really good. Missouri certainly has their work cut out for them in terms of stopping Ty Simpson, but it'll be a great test for Bo Prevola because I think we've talked about this. He looked really good in the first couple of weeks, way better than I thought he would. It almost looks like Penn State kept the wrong guy. Am I right? But I think he has a really good shot of having a good performance.
Last one on the home front here. LSU off the bye week, welcoming in South Carolina and Lenora Sellers. Big number on this game, 9.5. The Tigers are favored. I think LSU wins with ease. It's not an offense that I would suggest is going to beat many teams with ease.
I do think LSU is going to win. I would like to see a little bit more from the offense. I'm hoping they utilize the bye week to sharpen some things up a little bit, get the execution down. South Carolina they were so much fun at the beginning of the season when games hadn't been played yet because we want new blood, it feels like, in the college football playoff. This is just kind of what they are, though. Lenore Sellers is a really good quarterback. I think the game itself could be fun for the first couple of quarters, but I anticipate that LSU is going to win and win by at least a score. I don't know about 9.5, but at least a score.
Good win for Jaden and the boys out west yesterday. What'd you think?
Oh, God, he's back. The best quarterback in the NFC is healthy again. He just looks so comfortable. He really didn't in the first two games, but once he slipped on that second drive and then swapped his cleats out, he was wearing the pink, swapped the pink out for the normal cleats, and he was fine after that. And they weren't exactly operating with a lot of great talent. Devo had, I think, 8 catches, and the next closest in terms of Commanders was 2. And that's the second week in a row that it's been like that. So the talent is lacking with Terry hurt, but Jade is Jade, man. You could line anyone up with him, and he's going to find a way to win.
Like to hear that. He's Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. He's with us on Mondays. Have a great week, man.
Hunt, I appreciate it.
All right, we'll come back and wrap things up here on this Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Big skin renovations. They can do it. Small things. Tub to shower conversion. They can do it. No matter what you're looking to get accomplished in your bathroom with your closet, David Vaughn and his team have experienced 3 decades worth of doing it. So if you're looking to do a tub to shower conversion, you've got a bathtub, either doesn't work or it hasn't been useful. You don't have 2 little ones like me that you're bathing at 6:30 every night. You don't ever take a bath. You'd rather just have a shower. Well, you can do that. Take that tub out, put the shower in. I talked to David about this last time we spoke and said, yeah, look, this is something that we can generally do in 3 to 5 days. Depends on the scope and of the work and whatnot. And you understand that every project's not the same, but most tub to shower conversions, 3 to 5 days. You're looking for financing options. They've got that 0% up to 18 months as well. Get rid of that tub you never use and put in that gorgeous glass walk-in shower. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find everything online, including pictures of their great work, free consultation right there at OneBathAndClosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
was on the kitchen table. At the kitchen table the other day.
So you're on the kitchen
I was
table?
not
Wow,
on it. I was at the kitchen. I was actually supposed to say at the kitchen counter.
All right.
But walking around it and heard Myers run through the living room and yell out, "Caden Durham!"
Just that's it.
Well, he had a football and he was running.
Okay.
And he knows that on all the he's watched so many of these YouTube videos now that Caden Durham runs a lot.
He does.
And then we talked about Jack Pyburn's name. It came up again over the weekend. Jack Pyburn. Why is named Jack Pyburn? Well, that's what his mom decided his name was going to be, Jack Pyburn.
You still got to ask him what his favorite color is next time he's at
he
player availability.
hadn't come to player availability. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. We'll have player availability tomorrow. But the names just keep. He said somebody turned on the Jets the other day.
Oh man, maybe he's got a broadcasting career in his future.
He just runs around giving the lines from the various announcers that are on the LSU football highlights. They were on at 5:50 a.m. in my house today. So,
great.
Had that going for us. How about a little take it or leave it?
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
I had a great Saturday afternoon lined up to drink some Flight by Yinglings during the Cubs game, and it got out of hand so fast, so early in the afternoon that I didn't even have a beer during the Cubs game because it was a disaster. But I should have, because it probably would have made things a little bit more palatable. If you're looking for a cold beer to drink, still really warm out there. If you're looking for a light beer, Flight by Yingling is your friend. 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, all the delicious flavor you're looking for from a beer, and all the great things about a light beverage in terms of your calories and your carbs. Flight by Yingling. Next generation of light beer.
All right, first one. LeBron James posted a tweet a few hours ago saying,
Playing
quote,
golf?
"The decision of all decisions, October 7th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hashtag the second decision. Take it or leave it."
I'm going to leave it.
Leave it alone.
I don't really care.
Okay. What if he's saying he's retiring from in the NBA?
That's great. I couldn't have told you he played last year because the Lakers are pretty irrelevant at this point, and he's like, well, I mean, he's still good, but like, he's not able to take a mediocre roster to the finals by himself. So he's just another great player. I am very regretful that I did not go to New Orleans and watch him play in his prime.
Yep.
That was a mistake on my part. It was very accessible to me. The arena is right there, and I just didn't go. I'm glad I saw Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson play with the Warriors there. Should have gone to see LeBron, didn't do it. But if he retired tomorrow, I wouldn't be, super emotional about it. I just think he's one of the 2 or 3 best players ever.
Some people are actually saying this could be a ad for Prime Day because apparently he did some ads for Amazon last year.
Very possible.
That would be pretty funny and just a very good indication of where we're at in the world right now, where making a tweet like this will drum up all this interest. All right, next one. Talked about Texas and Penn State a little bit earlier with Denton and at 2 o'clock, but they both got their second loss of the season. 2 bad teams with that. The Longhorns and Nittany Lions are out of the playoff race. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. They're very much in the playoff race. They will not make the playoff. They will lose moving forward, but they're not out of it because they only have 2 losses.
You think even Penn State with 2 losses?
Penn State, yes, I believe any Big Ten team that goes 10-2 would make it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think Indiana did anything last year. They were 11-1 and they got in on nothing. So I think 10-2 on nothing gets in too. Until I see a team with more losses and more better wins jump a team with less losses and less good wins, I won't believe it's going to happen. I think the committee ultimately defaults to how many games you lost. And so for that, I think that those 2 teams are still alive for today, but it won't be for long.
All right, last one. The Cubs get it done tonight. Take it or leave it.
I will take it.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that because you could have went the route of saying leave it and you wanted to be wrong.
What the Brewers did on Saturday is you don't see that in JV baseball.
No,
they hit
not really.
like 9 line drives in a row. That doesn't happen. They didn't really do it the rest of the game, which was nice to see. And he showed up. But the big thing the Cubs have to do is stop trying. You can't win every playoff game 3-2. You have to at some point score 7 runs. You can't try to lean on your pitching staff to hold everybody to 2 to win. And they're striking out too much. They're not scoring enough. I realize the Padres bullpen's awesome. I realize that Peralta's very good on Saturday. They got to go get 7 runs tonight. Like, they have to.
Yeah, they do. The good thing, the Brewers don't hit that many home runs. Shota's biggest problem has been giving up home runs.
Scoundrel Yelich is
yeah,
going to do something.
We gotta have
one of my arch nemesis. I compiled a list of my top 5 baseball nemesis.
Number 1,
weekend.
Yadier Molina.
Number 1, Yadier Molina, no doubt.
Number
2,
maybe Wainwright.
Number 2 was Ryan Braun.
Yeah.
Number 3
Cheater.
was Yelich. Number 4 was Steve Bartman.
Oh, well.
Number 5, Pujols.
Yeah, that's fair. No Pirates, of course. Why?
No Pirates,
Why would
no
there
Reds.
be any?
I don't have any Pirates or Reds. But those guys are... Ryan Braun, cheater. Get out.
Get him out of here.
Yelich, just too good.
1
too
for
good
4. He was 1 for 4 yesterday. Saturday. 1 for 4. Not that good.
Well, everybody else in their team had 100 hits. I need
That's
Jackson
true.
Chourio to miss the rest of the series. Not sorry. Don't care.
He's not playing today.
Good. Love to hear that. Cubs are at 8:08 tonight. It's going to be a long night in the
That
Palmer
is
House.
very
But I got to
late.
wake Myers up to give him his medicine at midnight anyway, so we'll just make that happen at the end of the game. Hopefully I'm in a good mood when that happens. I'll be in a good mood tomorrow, hopefully. When we start the show, for our Tuesday edition, we'll start looking at LSU in South Carolina. Matt's about to drive you home on AFR. Hope your work week's off to a good start. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a safe and happy Monday evening. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Every winner knows a great play starts with a solid game plan and the right team by your side. At Sunshine, we're here to keep your operation running strong. From tractors to harvesters, we've got the John Deere equipment you need to